In this video, we're going to relate the concept of stoichiometry to cooking. And I know for a lot of you, you are probably rolling your eyes at me considering grilled cheese cooking, but hey, we're not all chefs. But here I have a recipe of how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. We've got 2 slices of bread and 1 slice of cheese is going to produce 1 grilled cheese sandwich. And if you're into cooking, you're probably used to this being the way things are presented to you. But it's going to mean the same thing for us to present the information this way. And this way helps us to relate it to what we're learning about in chemistry here. So hopefully it still makes sense. Hopefully I haven't lost anyone. We have 2 pieces of bread plus 1 piece of cheese gives us 1 sandwich. All right, so now let's look at a problem. Let's have a problem that we're going to solve here. So 2 pieces of bread plus 1 cheese gives us 1 sandwich. But what if we don't have exactly 2 slices of bread and 1 slice of cheese? What if we get out our ingredients, we get out all of the bread that we have, and we get out all of the cheese that we have, and we see that we have 6 slices of bread, and we just went to the store and got a ton of cheese. We have way more than enough cheese. What is the most number of sandwiches that we can make? If I have my entire fridge is filled with cheese, I've got so much cheese that it's irrelevant. I've got too much. I've got excess cheese. But I only have 6 slices of bread. How many sandwiches can I make? Pause the video, and I bet a lot of you can probably figure this one out. All right, if I have 6 slices of bread, and we see that we need 2 slices of bread per 1 sandwich, I can kind of rephrase that and say, okay, I'm going to produce half as many sandwiches as I have bread. So if I have 6 slices of bread, I can produce half as many sandwiches, and we could say I could produce 3 sandwiches. And a lot of us can probably think through that and see that just from taking a second, pausing the video, and thinking about it. But for the rest of us, and for the greater good of the concept of what we're learning about, I'm going to write this out in a mathematical way to help us relate this to what we're doing here in chemistry. But for any problems, whether it be a real-world example like this or a chemistry-based problem that I give you, you're welcome to try to logically think through it instead of just plugging in this formula that I give you. I encourage you to try to think through it more logically if possible. But just in case we need it, I'm gonna lay this all out in a chemical mathematical formula here. All right, so we have 2 slices of bread plus 1 cheese gives us 1 sandwich. We are given 6 slices of bread. That's what we're starting with. 6 slices of bread. So I'm going to write that down. 6 We have 6 slices of bread, and when we have excess cheese, and anytime it says we have excess of something, that means it's irrelevant. So you can cross it out. So excess, whatever we have excess of, it means we have more than enough cheese. So the cheese is really irrelevant for the problem. You're welcome to cross off anything that I say that we have excess of. Just cross it off. It's not going to have anything to do with how you solve the problem. But okay, so let's look at what we are concerned with, though. So we have 6 slices of bread, and we need to see how many sandwiches that produces. Well, the ratio of sandwiches to bread is we can make 1 sandwich for every 2 slices of bread that we have. So for every one sandwich, we need 2 slices of bread. Or for every 2 slices of bread, we can make 1 sandwich. However you want to think about it. But we're going to write this with slices of bread on the bottom. We're going to write this ratio with slices of bread on the bottom so that we can cancel out the units of slices of bread. So slices of bread cancels out. And then we're left with the units of sandwiches, the number of sandwiches that we make. So when I type this into my calculator, I'm going to get 6 times 1 divided by 2. And that will tell us that we will make 3 sandwiches. So 6 times 1 divided by 2, we get 3 sandwiches. And like I said, I bet a lot of us were able to solve that on our own, but that's just, this is the more formula, mathematical based way of doing it. I encourage you to do it whatever way makes sense to you. But however, I do warn, especially as we get to harder problems, writing out the units like this is going to be really, really helpful. It really helps to make sure we got the right answer. It helps us to verify that we have the right units in our answer, and it helps us verify that we got the right answer by checking our units, seeing what canceled, and just tends to produce more accurate results. All right, let's take this a step further. Let's say, okay, still have the same formula, 2 slices of bread plus 1 slice of cheese gives us 1 sandwich. But I'm going to give you a little bit more information. I'm going to tell you the masses of each component of this sandwich. So the bread weighs 40 grams per slice. Cheese weighs 20 grams per slice. And the whole sandwich as a whole weighs 100 grams per sandwich. There's 100 grams per sandwich. All right, and then I'm going to give us another problem here. So if you have 100 grams of cheese slices and excess bread, how many sandwiches can you make? So this time we're low on cheese. We only have 100 grams worth of cheese, but the store was having a sale on bread, and we have loaves and loaves and loaves of bread. We have more than enough bread. So we're only concerned with the cheese. Again, like I said, if we have excess of something, you can cross it off because it's not going to be relevant to solving the problem. All right, so 100 grams of cheese slices. Go ahead and pause the video and think about how many sandwiches you can make given that we have 100 grams of cheese. All right, 100 grams of cheese. You might think, you might have just done this in your head. You might say 100 grams of cheese. If it's 20 grams per slice, that means we have 5 slices is going to be 100 grams. So five slices of cheese. We have more than enough bread. And since there's, for every 1 slice of cheese, we can make 1 sandwich. That means we're going to make 5 sandwiches. All right, but I want to show us the more mathematical formula way to do this, just for a method that usually produces more accurate results in terms of people don't make as many mistakes when they write it out this way. So let's write it out just to verify our answer that we get the same thing. So let's zoom out a little bit. We've got, again, we have 100 grams of cheese slices. So 100 grams of cheese slices. And we need to convert that to number of slices of cheese first. So we're going to say that each slice of cheese is 20 grams. And so, or we could say per 1 slice of cheese, every slice of cheese weighs 20 grams. And just to make things a little bit less confusing, I'm going to erase where it says slices, because it doesn't matter that we have 100 grams of cheese slices. We have 100 grams of cheese that are ended up being divided in slices, and we'll do that later. So 100 grams of cheese, and it's one slice of cheese per 20 grams of cheese. Okay, we might notice that the units of grams of cheese are going to cancel, and we're left with, we have our units are in slices of cheese. All right, slices of cheese. But now, we don't want to know how many slices of cheese we have. I mean, that's going to be helpful in solving the problem. If you were to calculate this out, you're going to get that we have 5 slices of cheese. But we're not done solving this problem yet. So you can do this in separate steps, but I like to do it all at once. So instead of saying we have 5 slices of cheese, let's keep calculating until we get to the units that we want. So we want the units of how many sandwiches we have. So we need to plug in now the ratio of sandwiches per slices of cheese. So we know that we're going to produce 1 sandwich per 1 slice of cheese. All right, and when we plug this in, we're going to be able to cancel out the units of slices of cheese, and we plug this into our calculator, we're going to hit equals, and we will see that we will produce a total of 5 sandwiches. All right, so a little bit more complex. Instead of giving you the number of cheese slices and you only use the ratio of slices of cheese to amount of sandwiches made, I gave you the mass of cheese. And from the mass of cheese that we had, you were able to convert it to slices of cheese. And then from slices of cheese, you were able to convert it to the number of sandwiches that we can make with those slices of cheese. So nice work. That's employed a couple of different concepts together. Let's do one more problem that's going to be a little bit more advanced. And so I'm going to have you guys try to do this one in your head or on paper or however you want to do it. Try to logically think through this one. Now, if we have 320 grams of bread slices and excess cheese, what is the mass in grams of sandwiches that can be produced? All right, so pause the video, try to think about this one, see if you can get the right answer, and then we'll check our answers together. All right, while you all were working, I went ahead and wrote out the relevant ratios of what we're going to be dealing with. You might notice that I didn't write out the ratio of amount of grams of cheese per slice, or slice, 1 slice of cheese is how many grams, because it said that we have excess cheese, meaning we don't have to do anything with the number of cheese, and cheese is irrelevant. So you can cross all of that out if you'd like, because we are not going to be dealing with it. It is irrelevant towards solving this problem. But here I have the relevant ratios, and we're going to be using those in just a second. But some of you, I bet you might have seen we have 320 grams of bread, and you might say, well, 320 grams, that's going to give us, that's going to equate to 8 slices of bread. And then you might say, well, 8 slices of bread, if we need 2 slices of bread per sandwich, that means we're going to produce 4 sandwiches. And if you got that, nice work, pat yourself on the back, because you did the problem completely correct. Now, you might have solved it a different way, and totally fine. I'm concerned with if you get the right answer, and I love for you guys to explore your own ways of trying to solve these problems. I'm going to take some time to explain it this mathematical / formulaic way, because I have found that it's more consistently produces accurate results, and you can kind of always use it as a way to double check your answer if nothing else. So let's look at how to do that this way using these ratios that we just developed. So we have 320 grams of bread, and when we're solving these questions, at least in this manner, we're always going to start with what's given, and it's always going to be written in the numerator by itself. it doesn't get written in the denominator. Don't make that mistake. So we have 320 grams of bread. grams of bread. And I need to multiply this by something because, and I need to cancel out these units of grams of bread, and I need to get to slices of bread. Because this formula that we're given up here, this is not in grams. This is in slices and total sandwiches. So if I keep it in grams, I can't plug it into this equation and then figure out how many sandwiches we get. I need to convert it to the units used inside of this equation, so slices for bread, in order to use this equation to figure out how many sandwiches we get. So let's first convert the number of grams of bread to number of slices of bread. And we can do so with this equation up here. Or this ratio up here. All right, and the reason why I use this one in light blue is because I want to cancel out grams. I know that grams needs to go on the bottom. So grams is on the bottom so that the grams can cancel. We can cancel these units of grams. And we're left with the units of slices of bread. But the question's not asking for us to figure out how many slices of bread. It's asking for us to figure out how many sandwiches we can make. So that means we are not done. And that means the next step is going to be multiplying this by another ratio that has slices of bread on the bottom so that can cancel as well. So let's figure out what ratio we have that has slices of bread on the bottom. All right, I didn't quite write this one out, but if we look up here at our formula, we know that there's going to be a ratio between the amount of bread and the amount of sandwiches that we're going to produce. So for every 2 slices of bread, we're going to produce 1 sandwich. Or if we flip that, we could say for every 1 sandwich, we need 2 slices of bread. So I'm going to write that out. For every 1 sandwich, we need 2 slices of bread. All right, for every 1 sandwich, we need 2 slices of bread. So now that I plugged in this ratio, we can cancel out the units of slices of bread, and then we're going to be left with the number of sandwiches, because that's the unit that we're left with. So let me make this a little bit smaller so that all of this can fit. And we will see how many total sandwiches we can make here. So type this all into your calculator. You are going to get 320 divided by 40 times 1 divided by 2. You're going to get that we can produce 4 sandwiches. All right, so this is just another way to solve this problem. But in doing so, you can cancel out units, and you know that you got the right answer because all of the units canceled, and you're left with the units that you were looking for. So 4 sandwiches. All right, in the next video, we're going to go from this real-world concept to chemistry and use chemicals and different chemical reactions, but it's really the exact same thing. So if you were able to follow along here, or even if you were able to just kind of solve these questions on your own, then you're going to be just fine with our next video on changing the units given to, instead of bread and cheese and sandwich, to different elements and compounds. It's the same thing, we're just using chemical compounds. And instead of me giving you the mass of each thing and we weigh it in a kitchen scale, we know the molar mass by looking at the periodic table. So use these same concepts learned here in this real world example to the examples of compounds, and we're going to be doing really great in the next video.